Hi, I'm Robert Perry. I'm the Libertarian Party of Kentucky's nominee for U.S. House of Representatives for District 2 Kentucky. And tonight I'm going to introduce you to one of my fellow lovers of liberty, Frank Fizpatrick. Sorry, I flubbed your name, man.
That's fine.
How are you doing tonight, Frank?
Oh, I'm finer than frog hair split three ways.
I have not had the privilege of talking to you on that many occasions until today. And hang on, I'm going to switch our formats here just a little. There we go. Okay. Now people can better see how pretty you are, Frank.
Hey, I don't have to use the bifocals now.
That's right. But something I was excited about is you have a diverse career. I have a thing for people who have walked different paths. I like people who have been around a bit and seen different perspectives, and you're a pretty good example of that. I think you started kind of as a truck driver of cryogenics. Is that right?
Well, no, I didn't start there. I started, okay, if you want to go way back, I started years ago in a chicken hatchery, and I hauled baby chickens. And fertilized eggs. I've done that from my late teens into my mid 20s. Okay. And then in my mid 20s, I hauled chemicals for the next 12 years.
Right.
After the chemicals, I got on with their products and worked hauling cryogenics, and ended up working my way up into the air separation plant. And
now, cryogenics, that's like
liquid oxygen, liquid nitrogen, liquid argon. That's taking the air out of the atmosphere, separating it, and liquefying it.
Liquid oxygen's crazy dangerous. People don't realize how dangerous liquid oxygen is.
It can be if you're in the wrong environment. Yeah, yeah, it can be, but it's useful too, though.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I'm sorry, I interrupted. You got into what after
that? Mechanical maintenance technician. I was a mechanical maintenance technician when I lost my position. The plant that I worked at fed oxygen and nitrogen to the steel mill that was here in Ashland, Kentucky. It was AK Steel. They idled the plant, and about a year after they idled the plant, my position was done away with, because a lot of our compressors were shut down because we weren't pushing the gas through the pipeline to the steel mill.
Right.
They eliminated my position, and I ended up the past 3 years I've been working at an apartment complex called the Henry Clay House. That used to be a hotel that was built in 1931. That was the same year my dad was born. So the building is like 95 years old. And it's 52 apartments now that used to be little hotel rooms. And we are systematically taking the downstairs areas, which was the old lobby, and there's a ballroom in there and a dining room, and we're refurbishing it back to as original as we can possibly get it.
That's awesome.
If you think about this, it was all metal lath and plaster. It's not. There's no wood. There was no drywall used in the 30s. It was all plaster. So that is a different animal, and it's got a lot of ornate decorations made out of plaster, and we have learned how to mold that stuff and bring a lot of that stuff back and put it back up where it's been damaged over all these years. But I can talk about this for a long time, but I think we probably ought to just get out of this and go on.
Yeah, I mean the reason you're on is you're now you're a libertarian, but you're running in a nonpartisan race, and I love. I kind of wish all races were nonpartisan. Frankly, we don't need letters by people's names. You either like what the person stands for or not. But you're running for city commissioner.
City commissioner in Ashland, Kentucky, and like I say, Ashland when in its heyday, there was probably 35,000 people that lived there, and it started declining probably in the 70s, maybe 80s. Uh,
Right.
Ashland Oil moved there, sold out and moved their corporate offices, I think, to Cincinnati. So we lost a lot of that, and it's just been steadily, things been closing up. And I just mentioned AK Steel is gone. In East Ashland, we used to have a coke plant which made the coke for the steel mill, and it's just a vacant field now with weeds growing in it. So
Right.
the town now has shrunk down so far that the population right now is the same as it was in 1925.
Wow. Wow. So
So
the refinery's gone?
no, the refinery is
The
not in
refinery's still there.
town. It is actually in Catlettsburg. It's still in
Ah,
the same county, but it's on the opposite end of the county.
okay. Okay. I
So the,
always,
the refinery is still here, but
okay.
the
I'd
I
always
can't.
associated that with Ashland, but
Yeah, well, it's considered Ashland, but it's actually in Boyd County. It's in Catlettsburg. Closer to Catlettsburg is where the refinery is at.
so I
But
mean, talking to you earlier, you seem like you've always been a person who, I mean, you seem like you enjoy what you do. What, but why are you adding city commissioner to it?
I see a need to help try to shrink the size of the Ashland city government, and I can't do it from the outside. But
Right.
if I'm inside and have a platform, or have a like a pulpit to be able to talk to people without having to go invade their privacy in their homes and everything, the city manager type government is what is in Ashland now, and
Right.
it came in 1950 when the town was growing, and it looked like it was going to end up being a sprawling metropolis because we had the steel mill was going full bore, we had the
Right.
refinery on the other end of the county, we had the coke plant, there were businesses everywhere in Ashland, and it's
Right.
just been slowly dying down. But we've got the same government set up inside the city right now as they did when they had 30 some thousand people. And I really don't think that Ashland is the size right now to be able to handle, to continue to pay the big salaries of a city manager, 7 department heads, uh, and continue to be able to survive and try to come back without putting more businesses out of business by bankruptcy, by raising because the only way to
Right.
keep funding it is to raise taxes.
Right.
But right now,
Well,
inside the city limits of Ashland, the largest employer is the hospital, is like 3,500 people. The second largest employer inside the city limits of Ashland is the Ashland school system. So that's paid through the state taxes. The third
right.
largest employer inside the city limits of Ashland is the Ashland city government. So the government is the third largest employer in the city of Ashland.
Yeah, that ain't gonna work.
Uh,
I don't have a power strip handy, but there's a meme I saw years ago how Democrats. Sorry, this is nonpartisan, but
yeah,
I saw how Democrats think they can power things, and you just have the power strip plugged into itself. It's like that ain't gonna work.
yeah, I've seen that one.
I love.
but but if we can't grow, and they have told the people that they've been trying to get these businesses to come in and come in, and to no avail. We had Brady Industries that was supposed to build a big plant, not in the city, but still the city could benefit from the work being close here in the county, and that
Right.
all fell through and everything. So whatever they've got right now doesn't seem to be working, and it's not saying that these guys aren't doing their job and they're not good at what they do. It's nothing personal. But
Sure. Of
I
course.
think that the population has dipped down so low that some changes need to be made to save money at the top without sacrificing the essential people that the city actually needs.
Well, they optimistically grew the government as the city was growing, and
Yes. And
the city went into decline, and they've not done that much to shrink it.
and they no, they haven't. It's especially the city hall. You know,
Right,
because we still need the fire department, we still need the police department, we still need the sanitation. Those are essential workers that never missed a beat when all this COVID stuff was going on.
right, right.
But
Now you told me
some of
earlier
the bureaucracy, yeah.
you
Go ahead.
told me earlier that they had laid one or two people off.
Yes, yeah, they offered voluntary layoffs, and I think a few people have taken that. They may have furloughed one or two out of the city building. I think is what they told.
But
So I don't know the whole story behind that, but the main point that I want to make is it needs to come from the top down, and it
right,
needs to change. It needs to be more streamlined that way. Because I tell you, this is an expensive little town to live in. All my property taxes, school taxes, and everything added up is a lot more than my electric bill, and people think electric rates are high.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, I mean, that's the point I try to make about taxes is whatever good you hope to do with the taxes, before you do that good, you're doing harm. You know,
Uh-huh.
you're taking away someone's ability to build something. Maybe you're making it more expensive to start a business. You know,
Absolutely.
whatever it is you're doing harm before you even get a chance to do good. So you better be really
Mhm.
confident you're doing good. Now, Frank, I hope you don't mind, but you lost me a little bit with the forms of government. I grew up in a rural area, so I didn't grow up thinking a whole lot about forms of city government, to be frank.
Oh,
So
I'm the one supposed to be frank here.
my bad. I'm Rob.
Okay.
So good point.
Yeah.
So I got the viewers a couple of diagrams, and I just went out there and found this. If somebody's interested, I can get a link to where I found this at. But it's just talking about the forms of government, city government in Kentucky. And what you described to me you're on is you're on a city manager plan, which is this
Yeah,
one off
city
to the
manager.
right. So um, you were describing to me you've got this extra city manager here, and you know that first of all it's a professional administrator. It's a hired administrator. I think that's the person you were telling me generally goes for low six figures, 120,
Yes.
something like that.
Yes. Yeah.
I guess that's
Roughly
public
around there.
knowledge.
Yes, it
um,
is.
but if you look at the commissioner plan, it's basically the same thing, except the administrative departments just report directly to the city commission as opposed to the city manager.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm sorry I'm springing that on you. I
Oh,
don't even know how well you can read it. But the
and then
thing,
and then the other one is the mayor council plan, which
right,
also eliminates a little bit of bureaucracy by getting rid of this of the middleman, which is the city manager.
right. And
Yeah.
I did study on these a little, and just so people know, the big difference between the mayor council plan versus the commission plan is in the mayor council plan, the city council is a little like a legislative body. Like it votes on ordinances and things like that, and the mayor may break a tie, but he's largely an executive, and he can also veto. He has veto powers usually, and he acts as an executive to put the actual departments to work, while the city council sort of guides what the rules are. And then under the commission plan, they're pretty close to peers. The mayor is kind of like the tiebreaker, but then the city commission as a whole acts as the executive. Did I
Mm-hmm.
get that right, Frank?
It's pretty close. We've got the gist of it.
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm talking so much, but I'm the one that
Oh,
can
that's
see it. And I
you're a
just
lot more
realized I wouldn't
you're,
go that far. I
yeah.
wouldn't go that far, sir.
Hey, I'm still trying to get votes here, even though you're downstate from me, but that's all right.
So, so from my libertarian soul just immediately likes the ones on the left better than the ones on the right, just because on the one on the right, to me, the first thing I see, even before the expense, is it's an extra layer. You've got an
Yeah,
extra
yeah.
layer between the voters and the doers, and I don't like that. I want it smaller, and whatever you have, I want, the voters don't get to pick the city manager.
No, no, the voters don't get to pick the city manager at all. But
Right,
but yet when something goes wrong, it is the commission and the mayor that's going to take the flack for it
right,
versus the city manager. Even though the city manager may be the one making the calls on a lot of the things, it is the commission and the mayor that's going to get the blame for
right,
it.
right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can appreciate how in a small town, you would want the ability to vote on this guy who's going to be dealing with the day to day.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, and just streamline the whole city government, because the way as tight as money is getting, especially now, and what this COVID done was put more of a spotlight on this. I mean, the problem's been here for a while. This isn't something new that I just came up with just to enter this race.
Right.
I've seen this coming for years, and it's something to streamline the city to get more bang for the buck, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, we talked. You mentioned talking about COVID. I, and I tied it to the propensity for people to grow government. And I don't know that you ever made that connection or meant to make that
I've,
connection.
I've I've watched a lot, and yeah, a lot of people want to trade their freedom for security.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah,
And now it's pretty obvious how that's happening at a federal level, and it's very obvious here in Kentucky how that's happening at a
at a
state level.
state level. Hmm.
Do you feel that's happening on a local level?
Uh, really, not so much. I don't think they're using it that much. The only thing that sticks out to me is when they closed the 47-acre park down to thinking that people can't, social distance themselves on 47 acres. I mean,
That's fairly tragic, actually.
that's probably about the only power play that I've seen coming out of this at the local level so far.
Well, that's something I've thought about watching the protest and then the riots. Is I live in a rural area. I see you're in you've got a little land around you right now, but man, these people in the cities, they're not like us. You quarantine them, they are stuck. I mean,
Yeah,
they're gonna have cabin fever. Me, I'll I'll go work on my farm. I'll plant some trees. I plant a garden, stuff like that. At least you're not
yeah.
trapped inside. So, did you have anything else you wanted to tell voters about your run for city commissioner?
Uh, Nothing really comes to mind right at the moment.
Well, if something comes to mind,
Do you have any ideas?
well, why don't we ask the people of Ashland to ping you on your Facebook page?
Yes, please. Ping me on my Facebook. Get a hold of me. My phone number is on my Facebook page. Frank Fizpatrick for City Commissioner. The phone
Yep.
number is on there. You can text me. You can call me. You can message me on Facebook. It doesn't matter. I'll answer just as soon as I find it.
And that URL to his Facebook page is the first comment in this post. So if somebody wants to go to that. They should just be able to click the link and get right to it. And I believe you said something about yard signs. You have yard signs?
I've got yard signs. If you want a yard sign, I'll bring them to you.
I don't know how
I've
many
got
votes me having one of your yard signs would get, but yeah. So people on social media should absolutely ping Frank for yard signs.
Well, I've had billboards on my pickup truck since I announced my run. They're hand painted and the black and gold. So that thing's been running around town for the past few months.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's the sort of solution I think we would expect out of a hands-on guy like yourself. That's perfect.
Just out a couple of pieces of plywood and some paint, and that was it.
Is there anything else you need from people who might be watching this? Any way they can help?
If you're in the Ashland area, just spread the word. Get me as much support as you possibly can.
Absolutely. Frank, thank you so much for joining tonight. Giving, so often we think about the federal races and the state races, and we neglect the local. And where you're at the local level makes such a huge difference. And I hope more of our libertarian brothers and sisters will start becoming more engaged at the local level.
I hope we can continue to grow.
Absolutely, absolutely. And on the topic of other candidates, I have quite a few candidates listed on my website. You can go to perry4ky.com/candidates, and you can see all of our Kentucky candidates, including Frank, including myself, including Brad Barron, who's going up against Mitch McConnell. A lot of people are interested in that.
Go Brad.
And yeah, go Brad. Absolutely, absolutely. And I am not so bashful as to not ask for donations myself. You can help me out. I'm going to certainly have expenses for yard signs, and I do some ads on Facebook and things like that to help get my name out there, and also to help my fellow candidates like Frank get out there. Tomorrow night, we are going to have Ken Molman on. Ken and I have been friends since 2014, when we worked together getting David Patterson on the ballot. And Ken's going to be talking to us tomorrow about kind of the history of him revitalizing LPKY and the importance of party structure and why we need to keep growing the party, like Frank just said. So if you're someone who's interested in the party, why we need to grow the party, how we need to grow the party, everything like that, Ken's kind of our elder in some weird ways, even though he's a little younger than me. So please join tomorrow night. I think that'll be fun. Ken always has a lot to say. And thank you again for joining tonight, Frank.
Hey, thank you for having me, Robert.
Absolutely. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.